Mike Raleigh.
What's going on, Coach, man?
Nothing much, man. I'm sitting outside right now enjoying this amazing fall weather we are having here in Nashville this week. Yeah, man. It had a good run this morning. Was actually just having a little messaging chat with two of our athletes, Kate Lopez and Erica Jakowski, about a couple new gear ideas. Just trying to create a new vibe. With some new gear. So I'll shoot you an email about that later.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I happened to. I just got home and logged into our closed group on Facebook, or Crushing Iron Group, the closed group that you can get in if you search Crushing Iron Group. And you've created quite a firestorm today with a few comments about the swim in Chattanooga and of course our new C26 kits and gear. And there's a lot of activity. And you also did a Q&A, I see.
Yeah, man.
I didn't see that yet, but
I did. Yeah, I had a little bit of free time, and things I've kind of got not ahead of schedule, but been getting my stuff knocked out on schedule this week, and had a little free time. And I was like, hey, I'm commenting and texting, and you know what? Make myself available for a little Q&A, and then I was talking with kind of texting back and forth with an athlete that I coach who's doing Worlds, and then I was texting with another athlete that I know who's doing Worlds, and then I had just gotten off the phone with another coach who's got a pro doing Worlds, and we were talking about the swim. And hey, man, I'm here to tell you, I called this, I would say weeks ago, maybe even a couple months ago, that the swim at Worlds is going to be a whole different ball game than people had anticipated and were probably going to prepare for. And if the flow, listen, the flow's probably not going to be anything like it was today. But if there's even remote flow, I'm here to tell you that there will be some athletes at a quote-unquote world championship that will not make the swim cutoff.
Wow. Can you, just for me and everyone else, I haven't really looked at the map, but is it kind of an up and back? Like, did they start at transition?
It's worse.
It's worse.
It's worse. So if you're picturing worst case scenario for a swimmer, this is it.
Okay.
Or not for a swimmer, for a swim course. Outside of it being 1.2 miles all upstream, this is worst case scenario. Because when most people think of some of an upstream swim, well, they think, I'm going to get it back on the return trip. Mm-hmm. Not in Chattanooga, you're not.
So is it like the opposite of Louisville, kind of? No,
it's worse.
It's worse.
So what I mean by that is that, so let's say you are, we're starting at the southernmost point on shore. You're going to swim out north, okay? Uh-huh. Which means the flow of the river that's coming east and west is going to be pushing you downstream.
Yes. So you're going across.
You're going to cross river, so you're going to be fighting current pushing you to the left when you're trying to make a buoy. Then you're going to corner that buoy after about 300 meters, and then you're going to have to swim directly upstream for 850 meters.
Wow. Okay.
And then you're going to have to make the turn back to swim back across river. Again, not getting any advantage when it comes to the current, because you're actually going to be
getting... It's not even a diagonal?
Nope. Now you're going to be getting actually swept inside the buoy. So now you're looking at maybe a return trip of, back to shore, which looks like to me like 400 meters maybe. Okay. So all you're going to get that's going to be pushing you back. So yeah, it is not going to be anywhere close to a favorable swim.
I'm trying to get a handle on, have you seen the map? So are they starting at transition? Is that basically what you're saying to me? Right around where the bike?
Looking at the map right now.
Okay. So is it like there's a little landing area under that where you get out of the water normally and have to run down that boardwalk? Is it kind of further down the board? You're starting right around in there, kind of where that hill is?
And you won't start and finish at the same place either.
Okay. Yeah, so I see. I think I kind of get in that. So you're starting further down river from the exit. Is that what you're saying? Okay.
Yeah, not much, but
Not much.
enough to take away, 300 meters of of downstream that you would have got if it was just straight point to point.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's I'm looking at it and it looks like you're I mean the start and the finish, it looks like probably oh man, this is gonna be interesting. Well, shouldn't be too bad, but I guess once you make the fourth turn, you got it. The turn coming towards the finishing like corral is a lot like Louisville, and you've gone downstream. And once you corner that buoy, if you don't corner it like really quick and hard, you're going to begin getting swept downstream. Like in Louisville, if you don't corner that last buoy really hard and tight, then you're going to catch yourself now swimming against the stream again to kind of catch yourself back up. So the way they have it diagrammed is 300 meters across the river, 860 against current, 300 back across the river, and 420 to the turn, and then 50 into the finish.
That sounds like fun, man.
It was quoted from Jesse Thomas, who is a very popular professional triathlete, also the owner and I believe CEO of Picky Bars, and just all around pretty awesome guy. That he usually does the swim course in about 23 to 26 minutes. Mm-hmm. And he did it yesterday in, I think, 42 or 43.
Wow.
Quoted as, "This is the hardest swim course I've ever done."
Really?
Yep.
And obviously it's not a wetsuit swim either.
It's going to be close.
Oh, there could be the saving grace for some people.
A lot of people have said, it's not going to be wetsuit legal. It's not going to be wetsuit legal. Don't bring your wetsuits. Well, today it's already in the 77-degree range. And the next Thursday, Friday, and Saturday night, if you're the men. So it could, it could be interesting in that it might be wetsuit legal for the female racers on Saturday, but with another cool night, it might dip just low enough to actually be wetsuit legal for the men, which would be really, really interesting if that happens. Because we're looking at Thursday, Friday, Saturday night for the men, Thursday, Friday night for the women, because they compete Saturday, of all like low 50s. And so it could very well drop into that, I think, 76-8 range. It's already within a degree, which, with flowing water, you never know in the Tennessee, but it's going to be borderline. And I imagine that since it's going to be cool, and if it is borderline on Saturday, then I think just to kind of have some sense of uniformity, they'll have a wetsuit race, at least for the age groupers on Saturday and Sunday, but maybe not for the pros. But yeah, dude, it's going to be I can't wait to watch. I just can't wait to watch. I'm not rooting for anyone at all to get pulled out of the water, but I'm going to enjoy it. It's going to be an incredibly strategic and just interesting swim to watch. So I'm looking at it walking over on John Ross Bridge or maybe even the Walnut Street Bridge and watching it kind of unfold from up top, because it's going to be tough, man. It is going to be tough. And best of luck to everybody that's racing, that's listening to our podcast. We'll be rooting for you. But it's hopefully something that they've been training for. The swim workouts I've given to my athlete that's doing it has been strictly focused on the demands of this swim course, and has had nothing else in its mind. Tons and tons and tons of pulling with the band, high turnover, high stroke rate, which are all things you're going to need for this race. Because it's funny, man. It's like what's going to happen is you're going to have slower swimmers or even faster swimmers obsessed with like making a certain time, and they're going to have to like start to kick so hard that they're just going to like blow their load with their legs in the water, and then coming out on the bike course, they're actually going to have a pretty good little clip the first 20 miles. So it's going to be interesting, man. I'm just pumped overall. Super stoked to go.
Yeah, I heard the bike course is no picnic.
No,
either.
They changed it, which I think is awesome. You want a fair race, and you want a fair, challenging race that rewards all-around athletes. All around, you want the best all-around triathlete, and you are absolutely, no questions asked, going to get it.
Yeah.
And which is the reason why some athletes have chosen to not do it. But it's triathlon. It's not duathlon with the swim warm-up. It's triathlon. And Saturday and Sunday, you're going to find out how well-rounded some of these athletes are at this World Championship. And then you're also probably going to find out how maybe not well-rounded certain athletes are at this World Championship. So It's going to be awesome.
Yeah, I love it, man. I think it's really cool that they're doing that. I mean, because the run obviously is tough too, man. I mean, it's not the half run down there. It's up and down Barlow twice, I think.
Yeah.
Barton or whatever it is.
Whatever it is, yeah. I mean, it's overall going to be.
Well, you might.
The swim is what's going to be the kicker, because it's going to spread out everybody so much that you're going to see even less draft packs on the bike. So yeah, it's going to be good.
Well, not only that, because they climb almost right away too, don't they? So
yep, they do.
That'll spread things out, obviously, and
yep.
And then you may end up seeing something interesting too, like people that might not normally place higher in their age group or whatever might, because they might be tougher. You know what I mean? There might be a whole different element to that. It's like if they normally would race a fast course that maybe isn't suited to their grinding ability or whatever, they may end up placing a little higher than they thought.
Oh, I 100% agree with you. I mean, this is when they chose to kind of do the 2-day event, which I think is great. And I think it's good I think it's great for the sport in general, to do it with this 2-day event. And they're going to let a lot more people in. They're going to give away some slots, and I understand that's part of the business. And I don't think it necessarily devalues why they call it a World Championship. I just think it's going to be to me, this race is going to be a lot more of the category like USAT Nationals, more competitive, but at USAT Nationals you have a very wide range of abilities. Mm-hmm. You've got people who qualified because they made the top 33% in their age group, which is a pretty wide category. Basically, if there's 100 people in your age group and you're in the top 33, you quote-unquote qualified. Same with this. Lots of roll downs at this Worlds because there's been so many slots given away. But the thing is that like the people here, it's just going to be fascinating to watch, because the guys and the girls here on the pointy end are going to be the best of the best. And that's what I'm just stoked to be around and watch, because I've never been to a World Championship event, and to watch the pros race and to watch these like really, really, really high-end age groupers who are, honestly, there will be some age groupers at this race on the male and the female side that will post faster times than some of the pros.
Yeah.
It's just going to be fascinating to watch the wide array, and I think it's going to be incredibly inspiring to a lot of people and probably humbling to a lot of people. And the main thing is do the best you can, and you're there, and it's going to be a good experience, and hopefully you come in prepared and let it rip.
What kind of numbers do they have like in the pro fields?
I haven't even looked. I would say probably like 25 to 30.
Really?
With maybe a little bit more. I'll have to look. I don't even know if they have the pro. Here we go, professional bib list. The things I do for you, man.
Hey. I'm just curious, George. I just asked the questions and.
Holy Jesus! 58 females in the pro field.
Wow.
And for the men, 56.
So then how many of those will end up going to Kona? A lot of them?
On this list?
Yeah.
Well, a lot of it will depend on how they place, because this is a lot of points.
Oh, okay.
But I don't know. 20 to 25 maybe. But dude, it's a pretty good. I'm just pumped to watch. I mean, I'm not one of those guys that gets starstruck. Just because I think you fart and you poop too, so you're just like me. So you're not that. It's not that much different, but just to watch the dynamics of how they race and the attention to detail that makes a difference between winning and losing is what fascinates me. Watching their dynamics on the swim, watching transition, watching how they come in off the bike, how they approach the run. Like, that's the stuff I'm most excited about. Like, I could care less about getting my picture taken with pretty much anybody. But just watching how they approach it as a professional. Because that's always been what's most intrigued me about pretty much any athlete in general, is the difference in athletes that are professional athletes that carry themselves professionally, and how different your whole life is in every aspect versus the age grouper or just a person who competes on a professional level, but you wouldn't consider them a quote unquote professional athlete. You know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
You have basketball players, football players. Yeah, they just need to start acting like a professional. Like, this is your job.
Yeah.
And to them, this is their livelihood. And so I'm looking forward to watching, the whole thing unfold and how they execute their attention to detail, their equipment choices versus other people's equipment choices. Like, all those kind of details really fascinate me. And then seeing it play out and seeing who wins.
Yeah. There's going to be a lot of faux pros there, too, I think.
There's going to be a lot. There are going to be a lot of faux pros. This is true.
Which is cool, man. It's like you get to a point in your life and you can basically make triathlon a part, almost pro commitment to it.
Yeah.
Because you're getting older, you're retiring, you got a lot of money, and you can just put it out there.
Yeah.
Which is awesome. So that'll be cool. And then, of course, I'll be at Wisconsin seeing a whole different element.
But they got pros too there, which I totally forgot about, which is awesome.
Yeah, I heard Starkey's there, right? You said?
He is, man.
That'll be fun to. Well, I won't watch him on the bike, but I'll get some good shots of him on the run, I'm sure.
Good. We can use it for our next run clinic.
Yeah. What if he's got to be the favorite, right? I don't know about on that course.
Well,
he's a great swimmer.
Here's the thing: is he is a great swimmer, and not only is he a great strong cyclist, but he is an incredibly well-rounded technical cyclist. So he'll be making. I mean, I saw like this dude like does this like try rating thing, and I think he'd even have him in like the top 5.
Bike handlers?
No, just in chances to win.
Oh.
And he's coming off an injury, and he did win Steelhead, so he's obviously in really, really good form, or at least he's getting back to it. And I'm personally, I like him a lot. I know a lot of people can't stand him, but I think he's great. He's black and white guy. What you see is what you get. He says what's on his mind, and he plays to his strengths. But I think that he's going to gain a lot of time on a lot of the athletes. He'll come out close to the front, if not first out of the water, probably in like top 5 at least. And then I definitely see him just going after it. And he'll gain some time, not just because his power numbers will be insane, but because he's such a good bike handler. I predict he makes up minutes based on how well he'll take corners and take risks, probably, that maybe some of the other professionals won't be able to make.
I wonder. I'm really curious to see his bike split on that course. I mean, he's probably done it though before, no?
420 to 430.
No, seriously? Yeah, I
Yeah,
guess so. Yeah. Wow. That's cooking up there, man.
dude, that's incredible. But he can do it.
Yeah, I mean, it's just yeah, because that bike handling will be a huge part of that because it's just not like I want. It's not that like I'm always saying it's like super tough, but it's just really hard to score. You know what I mean? To score on
Yeah.
that course.
Yep.
So, I mean, even historically the finishing winners haven't been super fast. I mean, but yeah, that'll be interesting to see him. And I don't know how many pros they'll have up there. Probably not many. Maybe a dozen or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Probably no. I think 15 to 20. I think is what I saw on the pro roster.
oh, okay, that's cool. But just the men, right?
Yep, just the men.
They alternated or something like that.
Yep, yep. Last year they had the women.
Um, what are they doing? Rotating between Chattanooga?
No, they're just rotating. I think there's another one that was all male and all female or something like that. They were experimenting with like rotating. And I think after this year they might not do that again. But I guess we'll see in the ever changing, Ironman pro or not pro age group race and see how that unfolds.
Mm-hmm. How do you think the city of Chattanooga is going to respond to this big deal, and then 2 weeks later having another Ironman? You think there's going to be all about the hospitality, or getting a little sick of the intrusion?
With this one being 70.3, I think. Well, here's the deal: is that most people in Chattanooga don't live downtown,
Mm-hmm.
and that's where the majority of this race is going to take place. But I can tell you what they're going to probably be doing is they're probably going to be getting in their closets, getting out their C26 transition trunks with their big cargo pockets, and they're going to be filling them with cash.
Yeah, I hope so, man.
Because there are going to be so many people in town this month that it's going to bring millions and millions of dollars of revenue to that city. And honestly, how can you complain about that?
No, and plus, isn't a lot of people try and call it like the Boulder of the South, so it's kind of has that vibe. I mean, that's really sort of a lot of what that city is about. The outdoor stuff. So
It's cool. It's cooler than Boulder. Boulder, yeah.
Well, I mean, that's all.
Yeah.
Whatever. But I'm just saying it's sort of built on the outdoor lifestyle in a lot of ways. Even though I'm sure the people that have been living there forever don't necessarily feel that way. But for the most part, I think people love it. I mean, every time I go down there for some kind of race, it's just super cool. People are all like, they're just excited about it. They're just glad to have it. So I think it'll be great. And hopefully I can find a place to stay while I'm there for the full.
I'm going to work on that for you while I'm up there.
Oh.
See if I can get you a homestay or something.
Yeah, that would be nice. Yeah. So, are you? I forgot to ask if you're relieved about the Vol game the other night, the Tennessee game. Did you go to bed?
Yeah, I went to bed. Listen, man, if there's one thing that I have learned from this whole entire process of having a child, it is when you have the opportunity to sleep, you take it. And with work and with training, sleep is the most important thing for me right now. And it's the most important ingredient in, one of the most important ingredients in life. Eat well, surround yourself with good people, and get as much sleep as you can. I mean, that's what it's about: limiting stress, recuperating, recovering, and getting back at it tomorrow. And so, yeah, man, it's been pretty awesome too, because it's kind of, I haven't been like, oh, I got to stay up for the game and I'm going to be just exhausted. And it's like, they're not going to be staying up late to watch me at Louisville. It's like I got my own things I got to take care of. I got my own, priorities, my own goals, my own things I want to achieve. And, I need to put things in order. And so, yeah, man, I went to bed at halftime.
Oh.
So, yeah, missed the whole, the next 3 hours. But, hey, man, I got good sleep and I woke up to a W. I can't, I don't see a downside.
No, and I agree with you. that's one thing that happens when you start doing Ironman is you have to prioritize that stuff. You can't, I find that out the hard way a lot of times. Thank God I'm flexible on my schedule because I end up staying up for that. I mean, I was up for that game, and you walk that fine line, that high wire of not getting enough rest or whatever, and that's the thing about triathlon, especially long season training, late race kind of thing like this for me is like you get into these streaks where you're kind of flying on your adrenals or you just kind of, and then you're pounding Cliff Bars or whatever it takes just to get it done, and then it just always catches up with you no matter what. So it's like you gotta be
always
careful.
Does.
It's like that. I'll do that a lot. That's why I do that. Abbreviated workout. Like today I went to the pool, did 2,500 meters, and in blocks of 500, and I felt, I feel good. I feel like I could take this home, but I'm not going to because I'm going to be traveling a lot. I'm going to be, I'm going into this weekend. I'm not bringing my bike because that's just going to be a pain in the neck, I think carrying that thing around and worrying about it getting stolen, whatever. So I'm just going to do a big swim run block and, just enjoy the weekend as much as I can, but when I get to these, it's like with cycling too, man. I just back it off if I know that extra push is gonna wipe me down. It's not even worth it. It's not even worth it. And I think if you're in tune with that, it's not even worth it. No. Where were we?
Where were we? Do I sound better?
Yeah, you sound
excellent.
You sound excellent.
Good. I'm back up in my my regular podcast office.
It's kind of disappointing, actually, that you can't.
I can't even go outside.
I know.
And I can't even go outside. But hey, we don't do this for the sunshine and vitamin D. We do it for the people.
Yep. So part 2 will begin.
Can I allude to the fact that this is like a 2-part cast? Because what I just did really kind of flows into what I want to cover kind of these last 15 or 20 minutes.
Yeah, absolutely. This is a 2-part cast. 2-parter. Right. This is the longest podcast in Crushing Iron history.
That's right. I've actually been running my Skype the entire time, so we are going on 6.5 hours. For those of our listening, we just went through a meditative 6-hour span. And hopefully you got some deep thoughts and some silent time. No, but what I wanted to cover, originally when we were talking about this earlier today, was I had some requests that our podcast had gotten a little bit. Our last few podcasts have been pretty deep and emotional and fiery, but maybe it was time for a little more training and data and application,
Oh yeah, free info.
Yeah, and I can. Yeah, exactly.
Just kidding.
It was Erica Drakowski. She said that we were getting 2 feels, and hey, what Katy Perry says: "Don't be afraid to catch feels." Song, yeah. But anyway,
I got all fired up. That Taylor Swift song came out, and we've been fired up ever since.
Yeah, that's true. Tugging on our heartstrings. But no, I wanted to cover, and this goes back to that comment that I made about the ridiculousness of 3.5-hour runs, and I've been getting a lot of questions about high volume versus intensity, and I wanted to kind of revert back to something that you and I went over last week when I was walking you through specific training progressions and load applications when it comes to the athletes that I'm working with. And, I talk a lot about, bike heavy. And there's this, and while I am, definitely bike heavy, as I kind of shown you, there are ways to, I don't want to say sneak in load, because you can't sneak it in. It's just, you apply it. It's just the nature of people's mental capacity is to look at everything on a calendar cycle, and they look at everything through either just the day or Monday through Sunday. And something that I often try to do, and I think for the athletes that I have right now that are probably going to go back and look, is that it's how we apply load, and we apply it carefully over days, not so much days of the week, but within periods. And that's something that you and I talked about when we first started working together was the application of training load over the period of hours, or over the period of 2 to 3 days, so like 48 hours, 72-hour span. It's from a prime example was I actually got done finished with a double run today, but over the last 24 hours, I have officially done 18-2 in the last 24 hours. Super chill run last night, a very hard tempo run this morning, and then just finished up another 40-minute run, which accumulated 18-2. And the great thing about that is I'm accumulating volume, but we want to accumulate volume over a period of time safely. You don't need to jam it all into. You don't need to jam 3 hours or 3.5 hours into 3.5 hours. And so I wanted to kind of get your take on what you saw, and kind of what that it wasn't really an aha moment, but I think you were kind of like, oh, yeah, I see what you got going on here, and what you saw from, not necessarily the outside looking in, but because you're on the inside, but what you kind of saw in terms of training load and run volume application.
Well, to be quite honest, I didn't quite understand it, but I'm getting a handle on it. I mean, it's like, as I'm looking at it, I think what you notice is that people tend to throw away shorter runs, even if they're 4 or 5 mile runs. I mean, I've noticed that as I go on, because I hear it all the time. It's like, I used to look at and I used to do it too. There was a day when I couldn't run a 5K, but now you go out and run 7 or 8 miles, and it feels like you're not even running, or at least mentally.
Right.
You look at that 5 miler or that 40-minute run, and you're like, well, it's not even a run today. But if you sneak those in, not sneak, but if you apply those, 3 or 4 in the middle of 3 or 4 days in a row of, like you're just saying, I mean, like you just described, that stuff adds up, and people just don't notice it. I mean, that's the thing I noticed about it most, is that it just sort of sits in there as something that doesn't even count in people's minds, but it certainly counts.
Yeah, it's I like to call those runs like those are frosting on top runs. They're the kind of icing on the cake, but they are what make the cake taste even better. And it's those sneaking in, and what we discussed was like, these frequent 20-minute runs off the bike, and there's usually 2 or usually 3 of them a week. Well, there's an hour of running, and over the course of the entire month, that's 4 hours. And if let's say you're a 7 mile an hour kind of person, or an 8:30s, well, that's just 28 more miles over the course of the month, and that's a lot of miles, mm-hmm. which is snuck in. And the other thing that that I do a lot, and thankfully most of these athletes are done with their major build, but is applying load over a 4 or 5 day span that intermingles with different weeks. So I may apply a heavy load on a Sunday, and then again runs Monday, Tuesday, and then solid work again on the following Wednesday. And so there's actually quite a few athletes that I work with where that I do just that, especially in an Ironman build, because you can, I mean, I think I'm looking at one particularly right here who in a 1, 2, 3, 4 day, in a 4 day span did 320, 5 hours of running, yeah. which is a lot. Mm-hmm. But you sneak them in on a Saturday, Sunday, and then you kind of mix them into a Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and all of a sudden they just did a run focused block without even knowing they just did a run focused block, because it's our nature to look at everything in a Monday in a Monday through Sunday cycle, and so, for example, one of my favorite kind of not last minute, but my last like run block focus is is a 4-day span, and it starts on a Sunday. And so for this specific athlete, over a 4-day span, they did, let's see, 6.18. They did 30 miles
in 4 days.
And, which is, you would think that's a ton, but when you add in that they were also able to do a 4,000-yard swim, they were able to do an hour-and-a-half hard bike, a 20-minute run easy off that bike that I didn't even count in that addition, and then also a 70-mile ride. That stuff is what adds up. Because you know what was the day before that 4-day run block? A 111-mile bike ride by this individual.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so so you're looking at Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And so if you look at the accumulation of all this cycling and running, there are that's why it's so hard to sometimes plan things on your own, because it's hard to see anything but a Monday through Sunday. And then you just start over. But the point of load application, and that can be swimming, cycling, or running, is to apply it in a safe manner, because it is about quantity, but it's not about singular volume in one specific workout. And that's where I think people get lost. Because is doing it over 4 or 5 days, is it sexy? No, I wouldn't say it's sexy. But if you break it up over a 5-day cycle, that's one of my main blocks I have athletes do, is over this. So for example, over this 5-day cycle, which is the last kind of really, really tough mini block, or what they call a microcycle, if we want to get into those terms, is over that 1, 2, 3, 4, just over that 5-day span. This person did, let's see, 195 miles on the bike. Wow. 4,000 yards in the pool, and whatever the number I just quoted off was, which is about 30 miles of running. They did all that in a 4 or 5 day block right there.
And they thought it was an off week.
Yeah, well, it was. Here's the great thing, is that the day that preceded this block was really just a 2K easy swim. So for me, that's a recovery day for most of my athletes. But then what they're able to do is, after that block was over, which is over on a Wednesday with a split run, the next day was an hour-and-a-half easy spin, an easy 20-minute off the bike. So you're looking at 2 hours of straight-up endurance work, which I would also consider would be, quote-unquote recovery, because you're not asking for any intensity. You're not asking for like a really, really high stress load. They're recovering there. The next day is a 5,400-yard swim. And then they capped off their final 2 days of Ironman prep with, over 140 miles on the bike.
Wow!
And they're able to. And the thing is you look at the calendar, and this athlete specifically had a day off on August 2nd, and then went from August 2nd through August 28th without missing a day. So 26 days of consistency, of careful load, careful application, healthy. Well, maybe not totally happy the last week, but who is the last week before, your last big week before you taper. But we drive that home a lot. It's about consistency, and it's about listening, and it's about it's so you have to do it so carefully, because more isn't always better. But if you can, it's like spreading the perfect peanut butter over across the bread. Like, you don't want to clunk it up, you want to chunk it because you're going to just mess up the whole sandwich. And we don't want to mess up the peanut butter sandwich. We want to spread it nice and even, and then when we want to fold it up, we want to slam it and we want to eat it. But yeah, it's there's so many ways, and there's a whole nother probably podcast on how you apply that and how you monitor that, but yeah, I mean, I thought we could. I wanted to dive into that just real quick. So if you're listening and you're creating your own plan, or you have a coach and they want feedback, or you want to give them feedback, is don't always obsess over Monday through Sunday volume. One of my favorite screens to look at on Training Peaks is last 7 days duration. And you always and that's because that's what tells you the biggest picture usually. Yeah, I mean, you generally know as a coach and as an athlete what you've done the last 2 days, and we talked about this last podcast. Like, I see your big long ride and I see your big long run. How are your 2 or 3 days before that? And talk to me a little bit about your 2 or 3 days after that. Because I picture like a day off or a 2K swim and then another day off, and I picture these big go home or go hard or go home workouts, and while those are nice and they look good, what we want when it comes to training and application and building a good any good plan, it's doing it safely, spreading it across days and hours, and looking at it. You have to look at the forest and you have to look at the tree. And the athlete looks at the tree, but you have to look at both. If you're self-coaching, and that's the reason that most athletes have a hard time, coaching themselves, is because it's hard for them to be objective, and it's hard for them to monitor and take that extra time to look at the load that they're applying and think, okay, this is a good idea, but I see, but my weekly hours and duration is only going to be 12 hours. Well, that might be true, but if you took the last 7 days and included Monday, Tuesday, it might say 19. And so those are the kind of things you always have to look at, and it's the most difficult part of training, or not training, but it's definitely the most difficult part of coaching yourself is being objective and looking, at that kind of a picture, because it's hard and it takes time, and there's a lot of moving parts, but that's the point, is to get all these parts, working together and complementing is probably the best way that I can put it. Is each workout really needs to build off the previous one onto the next one, and it needs to complement each other. It doesn't need to wreck it. You know what I mean? You and I talk about this all the time. Like, if you get to a point to where you're in a workout and you feel like it's just going to wreck you and take off a floor of the building that you're trying to create, is that necessarily the best? Probably not. Or is it going to cause you to take 2 whole days off of building that building?
Yeah. That makes sense. I mean, like the analogy of getting everything working together, I think of that as getting all the pieces of your body working together too, in a balanced way. That's almost like, to me, when you describe that 5-day heavy volume run load, that comes across to me as like a no limping soreness heavy load. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Because that's really how I like to a lot of times gauge my runs on the next day, or and it's usually the run. I mean, I'm never like obviously sore to the point where it hurts when I get off a bike. I don't go that crazy far anyway, but like sometimes I will go too far on the run, and I'll know instantly the next day when I take it off.
For sure.
But if you're right though, because if you don't have that synchronicity going through your training plan, maybe from a higher eye of a coach or somebody looking at the big picture, it's easy to fall into that trap. Well, I feel good today. Maybe I'll just go 4 more miles. and not do, because I got tomorrow, I don't have a run, or I don't know. There's so, I could see how easy that would be to fall into a trap if you're not really thinking about it in those terms, in the volume terms, and the accumulated fatigue is one thing, but you don't want to accumulate the soreness all the time either.
Yeah,
so,
I mean, and that's something that you should be able to see, and as an athlete, when you are given a really, really hard workout, you should know it's supposed to be really, really hard, and the light is kind of at the end of the tunnel, because you should see the next day and see that it's supposed to be super, super, super easy. Mm-hmm. And that mentally kind of already gives you the confidence of, I'm still working out tomorrow, but it's going to be super easy, so I have the green light to get after it. Because tomorrow, it's not going to be the day off, but I know it's going to be based on recovery. And that's the most important part. So, I mean, it's definitely a topic for another podcast, but I thought that would be a good complement to, our previous topic, and then something that we can definitely dive in more to in the future when it comes to, load and volume versus intensity and quality versus quantity, and all that, the age old argument, but also for, everybody racing, especially the ones that I work with, if you're listening and I've worked with you and you're doing the full, take a look back. Look at some of those 5-day spans that don't necessarily span a week, but that, merge. And I think you'll kind of surprise yourself at what you actually accomplished. And that's what we're going to see when you all throw down the damn hammer on Sunday.
Yeah. Speaking of which, I got everybody loaded up. We got a ton of people from.
I know, dude.
The athletes that we're coaching, plus active
people in the closed group. I know, man. It's like freaking no holds barred.
Yeah, I had to get out. I had to print out a sheet to enter. I mean,
it almost would have been easier for being like, all right, who are we not tracking, and just didn't select all and then select who we weren't tracking, and then gone from there.
I am sincerely concerned about my phone charging situation.
Oh God, I am too. I've debated on going and getting one of those supercharged batteries, but I'm gonna be packed, fully loaded, and ready to go with jacks and phone cords, and I'm gonna be all in, walking around at Worlds on Sunday and tracking everybody in Wisconsin and everywhere else. So
I know, yeah.
Hey, it's part of the job.
Doing live Facebooks. Man, you're going to be doing it all. I'm going to be doing it all. Kate's got me covered, though, thankfully.
Yeah, Allie will be there, and I'll just leave Hayden to the tracking.
Can you imagine? Kids pick that stuff up quick. He probably could.
Dude, you're telling me. That's a whole different podcast.
Kid Tracker,
yeah. Ironman Infant, yep. We're getting there. So, but yeah, that's all I got today, man. Short and sweet, and not really. It's about 50 minutes, but good luck to everyone. Whether you're racing a sprint, just a run race, a bike ride, or a full Ironman, or anything in between. Best of luck to everybody listening, no matter where you are in the country, no matter where you are in the world. And we will catch you on Monday, which will undoubtedly be a energized, fun-filled podcast recapping the weekend's exploits.
Yes, and if you haven't gotten into our closed Facebook group, do that, because I'm sure we'll be posting a lot of stuff from 70.3 Worlds and Ironman Wisconsin. We'll be on site, sending pictures, just updates. Who knows what else could pop up in
who
that.
knows,
so
man.
Search Crushing Iron Group on Facebook. It's not there's two groups. This should have about 350 people in it. The other one has 1,200 or something.
Yep.
We'll let you in, and you can kind of partake, and I hope there's a lot of lively discussion around the races this weekend.
I'm sure there will be.
Oh, I'm sure there will be, too. Anything else?
All right, man. That's all I got, man.
Follow Crushing Iron on Twitter, too. There might be some updating going on there, and maybe on Instagram, C26_triathlon at Instagram.
Perfect.
I think that's it. We're going to wrap it up,
man.
get this posted, hit the road. And
Safe travels tomorrow.
Yeah, and safe travels you on Friday.
Yep, Friday.
All right. All right. Say hi to Chattanooga.
Peace out.
See ya.
See you, dude.